everybody? Welcome into the Casual Sports Podcast Wednesday edition. We got somebody in here that's usually not here on Mondays
Yeah,
and
he
Wednesdays.
screwed it up.
But Alek Koberna is going to be joining us in here today. Usually he's doing the host and stuff, but today I'm here.
And I'm in the middle.
Hosting today.
Like, what do you mean I screwed it up?
You just took my middle spot. You screwed it up.
Here's what it is.
Yeah.
But how's everybody doing today?
What's up?
I'm vibing, man. We got some great games going on around the valley last night. District semifinals. I had a great one. Then, Matt, you and I got some two awesome regional semifinal games tonight with
we do.
my Liberty Leopards and then Garrettsfield Garfield. They've been quietly making a run.
It's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
We're going to start off with that. So start previewing it, man. Let me talk about what. First of all, the Badger Braves. They were a 9 seed.
Yeah.
They made it all the way to the district semifinals, and they did lose last night. But heck of a season calling these guys. Yeah. I mean, they weren't. A lot of people expected them to lose way earlier. They were a 9 seed, and they took it to St. Thomas Aquinas for that first half. Aquinas kind of just drew away the rest of the game. But man, they fought to the end. I just want to congratulate these guys on a good season. But let's move on here. These games tonight are going to be sweet, Alek. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it really should be. But how about I talk about my game from last night first? My district semi on the other side of this one. Cardinal Mooney, Liberty. It was awesome. My two teams from the season got to go up against one another. I got to talk to both coaches before the game. They were both just super hyped up about what was going on with their teams this season. Coach Palermo of Mooney really felt like an underdog all year long. He said beginning of the year, he felt a lot of people took this team for granted, didn't think that they had the pieces to make back-to-back district final appearances. They won it last year in 21, and they won this game as well, 64-42, running away. They were up 21-6 at the end of the first quarter. I have never seen this Mooney team hitting all their shots like this before. Rocco Turner was knocking him from deep. He had 3 triples. Then he had Jack Pepperny hitting 4 triples in this game. It was just a total shooting performance. And then Mick Hergenrother led the drive for this team as well, 13 points for him. And Drew Pecchia was a force in nature, forcing a lot of these Liberty boys into some foul trouble, including James Davis, who fouled out in the last 4 minutes of this game and just deleted any chance of a potential comeback as well with that one. Coach Lamb on the other side for Liberty, the main question I asked him was, what did it mean to the city having Liberty back in basketball and boys and girls? And he was just telling me it brought life back to the city for the first time in a while. This team hasn't been really great in almost 20 years at this point. So he said for him to be in his 3rd season and they're already getting support like they did this season. I mean, a packed Pete Pro Cup court at home all year long. Just a constant energy around the city whenever him or his boys were going around, and just the support from the crowd and obviously us on YSN too. The way everyone started rallying around Liberty at the last half of this season, it was a pleasure to have this sort of atmosphere all season long. And to me, it was kind of one of those moments that he knew this team could go far, but they ended up coming short. And before the game, I think the vibe I was getting from him was, you know what, if it ends all here today, it was well worth it. They got back to districts for the first time since 2005, and that moment alone was enough to, bring this squad back to where they should be. This isn't where they were last year. They haven't been here at this point, obviously, nearly 20 years. This was the culmination of a lot of years of hard work for these players. Unfortunately for Liberty, they had 8 seniors on this roster.
Yeah.
4 guys coming back from the main roster next year. They will actually get a young pardon me, let me grab it up. I got it right behind me. Young man this year, and Dante Venters was out for this season. He might be back next year. Actually, no, I think he was a senior. Never mind there. But there's just 3 juniors coming back. Some talented ones. They're going to bring back Kalen Turner, who's a big shooter, Silas Robinson, and Anthony
Robinson was sweet.
And then they're bringing back a young point guard, a freshman who was the only underclassman to see playing time this season, including in this playoff game in DC Farrell, a really talented young player. He might be the next face of Liberty basketball for the next 3 years after this one. So they got a bright future. I'm interested to see how Levon Lamb can bring in really what seems to be like his first class. He's hit that 3-season mark. Your sophomores you first were working with are gone. What do you got coming out? What have you developed in your 3 years' time from that freshman classes the last few years to develop at this point? I think it'll be interesting now to see what Levon Lamb can do next season. I mean, he's got a lot of basketball knowledge to share. And the one thing I've noticed this season, I think maybe more than anybody else I've talked to, is one, this might be the most humble group of kids and coaches I have ever met. I haven't ever talked to anybody that acts the way they do. They know they're not supposed to be here. They know this isn't what they do or what they haven't done in a long time. And they don't walk around with the swagger to like we're the best in the world. They know we're the underdogs, man. We're those junkyard dogs. We are here to fight. We're gonna battle. We're gonna take it to you for 4 quarters, and if we come out standing at the end of it, that's just what we're here to do, man. These teams are built to fight. They aren't necessarily built to win. They're built to fight you, and if you can't stand up and fight, this team comes out on top, and that's just what happens every single time. And this almost kind of leads into the girls' basketball games because my roster's all fault. That's fine. But it was truly an honor this season to see this Liberty basketball team, the boys squad. Unfortunately, their run has to come to an end. James Davis will officially retire after this one as well. I don't really know if there was any offers to any of these guys. I know James Davis was getting some looks from some smaller colleges. For anybody else,
Westminster.
Yeah, Westminster with James Davis. But a lot of openings, and walk on somewhere. I think a lot of these guys could provide some electricity onto some teams.
Oh yeah.
Well, I know other of them play football too, so I think they'll go there that route. So.
Yeah, but James Davis, I think he's a great player. But he's a little inconsistent. But I think he could very well play at that college level. And guys at Westminster, I know some of the guys that coach there. And they could shape him up. They could get him playing way better. So that'd be cool for him to go to, Westminster or any school like that. So
yeah, I think
that'd be cool to see.
With the college coach, he's got a lot of room to develop. And Coach Lamb told me one thing about him last night. A lot of people look at him and they think he's a ball hog with the way his stats look. But watching him out on the floor, anybody knows this guy. He wants to get his teammates involved as much as possible. And he's a real distributor out there on the floor. When he gets going, so does the team. And I think he knows that when the team gets going, it only opens things up for him. And he's a very unselfish player. It's sad to see his career come to an end, though. Would have liked to see a few more years of James Davis in the left uniform. But on the other side for Cardinal Mooney, they're moving on, man. They got the future YSU football quarterback coming up in Bo Brungard and the New Middleton Springfield Tigers in the district championship as Mooney looking to repeat as district champions. A feat very hard to do. Few teams can do that in back-to-back years. It takes a lot to get there, and Mooney's got a shot. This is one of the best coached teams. Coach Palermo, I talked to him right before the game, and it was all about fundamentals. A very critical analysis he gave me of what was going on. Every little detail, this guy was paying attention to it. He is a pure basketball analytic style coach. He knows what's going on. He looks at the numbers, and he can see how those numbers are working on the floor. When you're watching the NFL games, then they put up the Amazon stat tracking wild figures or whatever it is with the percentages. I swear, this guy sees it watching the game, and that's just the way he coaches, the way he talks as well. He's very analytical with the things he's saying, breaking his team down for me last night, and it shows out there on the floor. And the biggest thing for me, he told me this season was, I asked him, your team was shooting pretty terrible during the regular season. You did not have any of these games. You get to the postseason and everyone can shoot. What's changed that? And he just told me straight up, it's just like, I told these guys, you got to have a short memory. Don't go thinking about what you did last time down the floor. It's this time. The only time you got to think about is right now. And I think this team has rallied behind the now. And they're not worried about what happened yesterday. They're not worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. They're focused on the day of. And I think when you got a team like that, they become dangerous. And when you combine a team with the experience of Mooney, the coaching of Mooney, and then the raw skill, and you put something behind that, then they got something to start fighting for. So it should be a great matchup coming this Friday. Unfortunately, I won't be on the call as of right now that goes to the Springfield Broadcasting team if they're the higher seed in the playoff. But still would be an epic one to see Moody come out on top. Whoever comes out on top, I mean, great game either way. I know Moody wants it. Springfield wants it. It should be a battle either way. If Moody comes out shooting like they did in this one, they started 3 for 5 from downtown, and their first 10 points came with 1 free throw from Pecchia and 3 threes from 3 different guys. So it was a wild one. They got 2 young sophomores in Rocco Turner and Ashton O'Brien.
Rocco Turner, man.
The focal point
I've seen the clips.
Kurgenrather pretty much just like lurks in the shadows until the defense gets so worn down by the outside shooting and Drew Pecchia bodying them underneath. And then he just goes, my time to shine, scoots on down the lane and lays it up like a baller. I mean, this team's got so much talent. They got a lot of young guys coming up. I mean, Nick Pregabon, number 14, is a very young player who's getting some playing time in a cleanup duty at the end of these games. And Jackson Minot, one of their young big men, certainly on his way up. And as much as this team's going to be sad to see some of their big guys head out this year, they got a talented class coming up. So it should be exciting to finish out the year for Mooney and to see what they got going forward. So should be great. But Matt, let's jump into what we got tonight.
All right.
Playoffs in it. How about we go Garfield first? I feel like we'll talk a little bit more about Liberty.
So, yeah.
But Garfield, Matt, 19-6 overall. They've had a fantastic season. They challenged Liberty twice on the year. First time 67-63. Next time 54-50. And those were really 2 of their biggest losses throughout the season. This wasn't a squad that lost a lot. They dominated Berkshire in the first round. They knocked off a very good champion team who finished just ahead of them in the MVAC, 68-51, a 17-point win in the district final game for them, taking home another title for that squad as well. And tonight, they got Warrensville Heights at Kyogre Falls. This is actually the later of the 2 games at 8 p.m. Warrensville, a 21-1 team, one of the best in the state. They have been phenomenal this season. The one thing, though, Matt, you and I have kind of been looking at them was they haven't had the highest of competitions, and I think that can sometimes hurt a team when you get into this part of the season and you don't know what they're made of. But they got this one girl who is an absolute straight-up baller in Xenia Thomas, averaging 30 per game and 14 rebounds, along with 3 steals and 3 blocks. She's a senior this year, 6'2", an absolute baller, man. She is going to have a night. I can't wait to see a 6'2" senior in Xenia Thomas go up against, I think, a near 6-footer in Levraine Gaskins at Garfield, because Gaskins a couple times, a young baller, and she's definitely got a very similar skill set in terms of being able to ball underneath. I'm excited to see how those 2 trade blows. I imagine one of the main matchups going into this one. What
was Gaskins Crestview or Garfield?
Oh,
I think she was Crestview.
Yeah, you're right.
Man.
No, I confused the 2. Both black and gold. No, we got the Seaman sisters on this game tonight.
Yeah,
along with Smith averaging still 20 points per game for Smith. One of the Seaman sisters has 11.6 points per game. The other one at 5. This is a really all-around team. I mean, Cherokee is definitely going to be a 3-point threat tonight in this ball game. Apologize for putting the wrong team in there, but either way, I mean, Xenia Thomas is going to have to go up against somebody. I don't know who that one is. You know, don't always get the height levels of some of these players. They don't put them out there for Garfield as much, but I still think we got a great matchup going on either side of this. Winner takes on the winner of the Liberty game that we'll talk about here in a minute, but this just seems like a collision course for both teams. It's Warrensville squad, obviously 21-1, 14-0 in conference play, but they're 92nd in the state of Ohio. I mean, that's a high mark to sit at. Garfield, though, despite being a lower seed, they're 90th. So you got some real not a lot of separation there. I think you're going to see a lot closer matchup than I think if you were just looking at what these 2 teams kind of are in total. I think you got a really talented squad right now on either side. And I mean, you go compare that to where Liberty fits in the state. Liberty right now in the state ranking is up at 64. So definitely some things to watch out for in this game when you go to look ahead on the winner of this one to take on the winner of a team that's number 3 in Division 3 and a team that's number 14 in Division 3 in Liberty, who pretty much everyone above Liberty has fallen out as well between Waynedale and Liberty. So you might as well start calling Liberty about a 5 seed, I think, at this point, considering the fact they're still in it and a lot
or even a 4 seed.
4 seed, potentially 2.
Yeah.
Personally, I think we're going to be talking about this team next week in 1 more week's time down in Dayton. But that's my personal opinion. Haven't seen this team all year long. You still have to find a way to win it. Garfield, they got the chance to win it tonight on YSNlive.com, the 8 p.m. game. I'd probably tune a little bit earlier. I haven't been a part of any close games so far. No game I've called in the playoffs has been close. So expect maybe a little bit of a blowout in both of these games. With my luck so far, it's like Matt making the wrong number 2 seed every week and then losing. So, Matt can't get the number. I can't get a close game in the playoffs. It is what it is.
I've had a couple of close games. So
Matt, you've had some good ones.
Matt's got some great ones. I've had blowouts.
So hopefully Garfield, can give Warrensville Heights a run. Warrensville Heights, they only lost 1 game, but some of their wins are just against, honestly, unsuccessful teams. So,
but
Garfield,
Matt, the biggest thing right now, Warrensville started off the season with a loss and have won 21 straight.
Yeah.
That's the biggest point. They're coming off a huge win over a number 2 seeded Elyria Catholic. They destroyed Maple.
They won by
1. Round 51-20. That EC win was huge, I think, for their confidence. Because you're right, they didn't have a lot of competition going into that. They were winning games 65-11, 73-14 against Garfield Heights. They beat Maple Heights 69-4. This was a team that, to me, I think you have to watch out with her defense. And then Zania Thomas is going big tonight. I don't think you're stopping her.
They can score. They beat Garfield Heights 94-29.
Yeah.
Are you serious? They beat Bedford 80-21. They can score.
I think Warrensville might be the biggest threat actually to Liberty in this bracket. I know we're going to talk about another really good team on the other side of this one in Waynesdale, but I have to say a little bit right now. I think that the team actually a little farther down in the standings might have the best matchups against Liberty when you put Zania Thomas against the trio of Foster, Watson, and Smith. I think that might be one of the better matchups you could see. But at the moment, to me, Liberty's still the favorite. Garfield though versus Warrensville Heights should be a great one. Let's move on to our next game, Matt, in Liberty versus Waynesdale. Waynesdale 26-0. 14-0 in conference play, have scored nearly 1,400 points this season and have allowed just 740. Last year, this was a team that finished 25-2 and put up nearly 1,700 points. Their defense has let up 300 less points last year. This was a team that was back-to-back district finals champions as well and have been really a force in the brackets here these last few seasons. So this is definitely going to be probably one of the best matchups, if not the best matchup all season long you might see here on ysnline.com. We got 2 teams that are rated number 1 overall out of their respective regions or areas. I think you got to start watching out. I think we're going to see something epic here today. And Waynesdale last season, I got their run pulled up. They fell just short in the state semifinal to Ottawa Glandor 46-36. So this is a team
that was just last year.
Yeah, that was last year. They made a run to the state semis. Glandorf ended up becoming the runner-up to Berlin Highland last year. But this season, man, Liberty, I've talked them to death, but they're going to be.
I know you have. I know you have.
I just hope tonight.
I was there every minute.
It's one hell of a game because this team doesn't deserve to get blown out with what they've done this season. If they deserve to go out, they deserve to go out fighting because that's the way they've gone.
Oh, they're going to.
Even if they drop down by 30 at some point, I think they're making it a 1-point game to finish it. I don't think this is a team that is ever going to quit. They know what it's like to have that run made on them. I think they're about to go on a big one tonight. For Waynesdale, they got some superstars coming into their own, though. McKenna Bainey, Alyssa Geyser, and Kylie Nussbaum, all 3-point targets, and all 3 are going to have some great games. The one thing, though, with this Waynesdale, a bit shaky at times. I don't think they're as consistent as Liberty, and I think that's where Liberty has the upper end. In the last game for Waynesdale, they had a great performance against Trinity. 52 points, 52-40 win over the number 5 seeded Trinity. 30 rebounds, 14 assists, and 8 steals. They did have 8 turnovers, though. Shot 41% from the field, 39% from distance, and 53 from the line. But before that, they didn't shoot that great. They had a a game where they were pretty much down 29% field goal, 18% from three, and 57% from the free throw. And that was just the game before against Fairless. So this is a team that isn't going to be 100% consistent every time you put them out there on the floor. And if they have a night like they did against Fairless where they're shooting 29% from the field, adios, Waynedale. It's going to be Liberty's day. They won that game because this team has a phenomenal defensive side, but I don't know if the defense can really stop Liberty from getting up there near 50. This is a team that was scoring 70 at one point this year. They can get back to that mark. They really haven't because they've let off the gas in the fourth quarters these last really 2 months of basketball since we hit the new year. They pretty much just called off the dogs in the final stand. But, Matt, I got Liberty making the run here. Liberty versus Garfield, third time this season in a regional.
That'd be sweet.
I love that one.
That'd be sweet. That'd be.
And all on YSNlive.com tonight. Liberty versus Waynedale to start the regional semis off from Cuyahoga Falls High School at 6 p.m. Don't miss out. These are going to be some epic ones. The only girls action on tonight as well. A couple of boys games though for YSN.
Yep. Well, that was your high school preview there, man. We burned like 21 minutes on that. Holy cow.
Yeah.
But all right, Mike, it's time to get Mike involved here. We'll start talking college basketball here. Mike, you ready?
What do we got?
So we got Rutgers versus Indiana. Man, a grueling Big Ten matchup. This is going to be Indiana 18-10, 9-9 in their conference. The Scarlet Knights are 16-12, 10-8 in their conference. Look at that conference record. 9-9, 10-8. That is tough. That is just tough. It's hard to stay above that 500 in the Big Ten. In that conference, it's hard. So, I mean, Rutgers though they made a little bit of a Cinderella run. They've kind of came back down to earth a little bit. Close games, but they've lost to, Purdue. They lost 3 straight now since that huge run. That lose to Purdue, Michigan, who surprised Michigan State last night. How about Michigan knocking off Michigan State?
Yeah. And
then they lose to Wisconsin, wow, what an epic game that was last night with Purdue.
What a shot. I just want to say on that one real quick.
What a shot by Ivy to tie it. I'm like, oh my God, all right. And then, boom, here comes Davis. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and again, I know yesterday we were talking about Purdue on the road. Those are just some unlucky moments they've had on the road. You got to hit a bank shot like that to win the game.
Yeah,
good shot. I'm not saying, but that's a bank shot. It's tough.
Yeah.
They just had a 3 to tie it.
Yeah,
that was a good game.
Yeah.
But this one, Matt. These are like the Big Ten teams that we keep talking about. It's like
Indiana,
the ones you have at the top.
Rutgers are on
this
the
like the middle of the pack
now.
right here, or the middle, and it's still strong because Indiana's 9th in the Big Ten. They're 18-10. Rutgers, you talked about, they have a lot of good resume with all the good ones they have. They're 6th in the conference, so this is the middle of the pack. Good matchup tonight.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be sweet. But let's get down to right here. We'll not try not to burn too much time on this, but like, who are you going with?
So who am I picking?
Yeah. Make sure to write these down.
Oh, I gotta write them down.
Yeah, you're doing it today.
Yeah.
Alex,
he's just here today. He's not hosting.
This is a coin flip.
It's a coin flip. We'll get a coin.
Bill, Mike,
you got any quarters?
What, Alek?
Not on me. I was going to say here, if you were looking at teams potentially how they will fit into the March Madness here in about a week and a half, Indiana has right now the 8th slot for the Big Ten. Rutgers would be the 9th team potentially, as they are in the running for one of the first 4 out. So we'll see how they can finish that off here. I'm going to confirm that. Yeah, first 4 out goes with them, Oregon, Loyola, Chicago, and VCU. So
yeah. Hopefully Loyola can get back in, but they've had a little bit of a down season. But, it's going to happen. They don't have their coach. Their star defensive player is out or is graduated. So they're doing all right.
So Indiana right now still in the running for March Madness. They got Rutgers on a little bit behind them, despite the fact that Rutgers is better in conference play.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to stick here.
I feel like you're going to pick Rutgers, Matt, so I'm going to go Indiana.
Wait a minute. Yeah, it's in Bloomington. I can't go against Indiana and Oh, man.
Yes, you can.
I'll go ahead and take Indiana in this game. Matt said they're at home. They're finally back into it. They were on a losing streak there for a bit. Got back on it against Maryland and Minnesota with 2 solid wins there. I liked both of those. Then on the other side, Rutgers, since they were the
They're on the skid.
they lost to Purdue, 3-game losing skid since then. I don't think things change up to start off March. I mean, you could get some madness, but I think Indiana's going to close in on that bracket spot for them potentially and close some things out here and solidify that spot, them being a serious person to talk about. They're projected a 12 seed right now. Them and San Diego State kind of fighting for that spot at that number 12. They would potentially have a matchup against either UCLA, UConn, Ohio State, or Houston.
That'd be fun.
I think Indiana's going to start looking ahead, and they're gonna turn on the Jets here and
sprint. I think so too.
This is their last home game too.
Yeah, I'm going Indiana. They can't lose their last home game. No way.
I mean, you can. Penn State did it.
Well, that's Penn State.
I'm kidding. They're a different subject.
Why you bring them up? He always destroys them. Alek always trashes on them.
Matt, they suck at basketball.
Everybody else destroys them too. It's not just me.
Yeah.
They suck at basketball. They should be trashed.
Yeah, but all right. We're going Indiana across the board here. What's going on in the next game we got here? We got LSU.
I think Penn State for all the really great players though across the nation in basketball right now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Penn State lost a bunch of guys out of the transfer portal, and they went and dominated everyone.
Wheeler went to Ohio State, and then
I know, Matt. For the 50th time, we know you don't have to keep saying it.
Brockington went to Iowa State,
leading scorer for them this year too.
Yeah,
he's a baller, man. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
baller's gonna ball.
Yeah, that is true. But LSU, they've fallen awful. They're 29. They're still a 20-win team. I think that's very significant. And they've lost some games, they lose some games. Close one to Kentucky. They lost to South Carolina though. But they're still a solid team that can possibly make a little bit of a run. And then on the other side, Arkansas, really a surprise team. They're 23-6. I wouldn't even be calling them a sleeper team too much anymore. I think they can win some games in the tournament. They beat Kentucky. Florida, Tennessee. They've had some good wins on their resume. So, I've been kind of hyped on them this whole year as well. I like the players they have. So, No Tie is sweet. I think that's how you say his name. But they got a good squad. So. I've always liked LSU. I've always been kind of with them. I liked that one guy they had last year, Smart. Smart was a good player, but I don't know. Arkansas is good. They've upset a lot of good teams too.
And this LSU team, Matt, they do have a lot of good wins, but they have a couple bad losses too.
Yeah,
Vanderbilt
you lose to South Carolina? They lost to South Carolina, so I don't know. I'm gonna go with Arkansas in this one, but
Matt, this is the easiest pick ever. It's Arkansas all the way. I went on a rant about this yesterday. Outside of those top 4 teams, the rest of the SEC is trash. I don't care that LSU is 29 overall. They had an easy freaking out of conference schedule.
They have.
The fact they're 29, but 8-8 in conference play. Okay, I like the cupcakes too, but your record means nothing if you can't win in conference play. If you win out of conference, then you win in conference, then it looks great. If you're going up against cupcakes out of conference, then you go into actual play and you have 2 different streaks of losing 3 straight games. I'm sorry, I don't care about you. Yeah. They had good wins back in January against Kentucky and Tennessee. So what? Second time around, they got their butts handed to them on some silver platters. What was their best out-of-conference win? Wake Forest? Lipscomb?
Oh, geez. That's bad. But,
Belmont, maybe? Out-of-conference play, they took on no one. LSU is nothing to me. It's Arkansas.
Yeah.
They did good in conference
Arkansas
play.
Is good.
25 team. I got the Razorbacks all the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All the cross
they're
here.
Good.
I got them too.
And their potential 4 seed right now to go into March Madness.
They're going to make a run. They were a sleeper team. I don't think they are anymore. I think they can make
LSU,
a run.
Picked to be a 7. I think they're probably one of the biggest teams to pick for that upset in round 1.
Yeah.
If you got a 7 versus 10 matchup, right now the 10s would be North Carolina, Michigan, Davidson, Miami. I'm taking every one of those teams to beat.
I'm picking Davidson 100% over LSU. Are you serious?
Right now, they have the matchup set as Davidson versus Michigan State as the 7 versus 10. Which would be awesome. I think that's a great game.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
I think that's a huge question mark. I don't know if State can pull that off.
This LSU team you used to like. Now you're not picking them, Matt.
I like LSU. Just I don't know. They've fallen off. But
Purdue's falling off. I'd stay with them.
Huh?
Purdue's falling off. I'd stay with them.
Well, we know how easily Matt's loyalty jumps.
I'll be quiet.
That's fair weather.
I don't know.
Always has
I
been.
still like. Look, I'm picking to beat everybody in the standings here. Okay, so I'm trying to jump up in front of you guys. So I'm picking who I think's gonna win. All right, next game we got the Wyoming Cowboys, who have been wow, what a great season they have had. They're taking on the running Rebels of UNLV. Not too bad on their part. They're 17-12, 9-7 in conference. Cowboys, man, how about those Cowboys? They're 12-4 in conference. They've had some pretty good wins. I really like the Colorado State win they had earlier in the season, but then Colorado State came back and beat them, and then they also just lost to San Diego State, who's also a pretty good team. Look out for them. They were like the number one team in like 2019, and they never had a chance because of the whole COVID virus canceling all the tournaments. They're going to be like a one seed. They were, but hopefully they can get some stuff back together and make a run, because I'm sure they're right on the bubble. But the Wyoming Cowboys, they have a pretty stacked resume. Yes, they've lost some ones, but they've also won some pretty good games. Then the Rebels, I mean, they beat Colorado State. I think Colorado State can be a sleeper team as well. But I mean, the Rebels haven't really done anything since that team in the early '90s that won that one.
They've been a disaster
against
since
Duke.
then.
Yeah, they've been a huge disaster since. I'm pretty sure of it. But I mean, this one should be another tough matchup. I was trying to look for those games that are kind of good. I mean, obviously I was picking Arkansas or LSU, but I wanted to try and find some nail biters games to pick. And I think this one's going to be one. I think it's going to come within maybe 10-point game, but I'm going to go to the Cowboys here. They've been good all year, and I'm going to stick with them. So
okay.
When we talked about sleeper teams earlier in the year, we talked about Wyoming, we talked about Colorado State. So I mean, they're there for a reason. But I won't be surprised if the Rebels come in and just say, "Hey, just hang on." So
I would.
We'll have to see.
Wyoming right now predicted to be a 9 seed in March Madness. This has been a phenomenal team all year. 12-4 dominated the Mountain West, first place of it. UNLV sits back at 5th in conference play. I don't think they're all that great. They're not even in the position right now to be in the conversation for March Madness. They're not there. Their record, they got some easy wins out of conference. Wyoming, they loaded up some out-of-conference games. They put Arizona in there early, man. They weren't afraid to go to the mouth of it. They took on GCU and won. They had some other good games in that running as well. And this UNLV team, Matt, as you were talking about last time they really did anything, they haven't been out of the round of 64 since 2008, and they've only had 4 appearances since then. They've had 4 straight losses in the round of 64 to UNI, Illinois, Colorado, and California. Before then, their last time getting down to the Final Four was 91. Their last time they were champions in 1990. And then before that, their only other appearance before then in the Final Four was against number 3 Indiana in 1987. This isn't a team that had great luck over the years. They just aren't a solid team all around. They have their day. I'll say their day. I don't think they were ever a great team outside of that 90 team.
Yeah, they beat Duke in that night. I watched all the documentaries and stuff about Duke, and they talked about them losing to the Rebels in 90, and then they came back and beat them the next year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was the last time I figured. But, it should be cool. Yeah. I just kind of like talking about him because Tate Martell plays for him on football, but he doesn't do anything. But I think it's just funny. I mean, they're still a decent team. I'd like. Can
you mention the fact that UNLV murdered Duke by 30 in that national championship game?
Yeah, they beat the heck out of them. They beat them. They were
That's
running
insane.
against them. The running Rebels were running. So that was a Duke team that had. I mean, Christian Leitner was the big guy for Duke back then, but they also had what was his name?
One of the best guys Coach K's had.
Oh, yeah, Leitner was definitely one of the best, but there was the other guy. I forget his name. Oh, man, I'll think of it sooner.
Alek, you're picking Wyoming, I guess?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Who are
you picking?
I'm too, but we've been all the same so far.
Yeah.
I mean, Rutgers, Indiana was a hard one, but it's the final home game in Bloomington. That's a hard one to say now.
Neither these two last ones have been easy.
Yeah.
All right, Matt.
Okay. All right.
5 minutes in.
Grant Hill was on that team as well. He was a pretty good NBA player. But all right, next game here, final college basketball game. I want to talk about these two teams here: Notre Dame versus Florida State. Okay, so none of these teams really have a shot. Maybe Notre Dame 21-8, maybe have a shot at making it. But Florida State 15-13, 8-10 in their conference. But I mean, they've had some games where I'm like, oh, okay, but I mean they lose to everybody that's good mostly. I mean, they lose to Duke, North Carolina. They beat Clemson by 1. But I like some of their exciting, like that Virginia game. They had like a pretty exciting ending to that. But I mean, Florida State hasn't been the best of teams. They've always kind of made it into the March Madness tournament, but they haven't really done anything like at all. They maybe won first round and lose the second round.
Not said Austin Carr back in the day.
With Notre Dame. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But Florida State, I mean, they're kind of a nobody type of team, but I feel like they can win some games here and there. But on the other hand, Notre Dame, I mean, they've had some games out. I think we were sitting in a restaurant in Cleveland watching them upset. What was it? Kentucky, right? They beat Kentucky. So they've had some games.
Right before we were right after we called some games down at the Rock.
Yeah, that was cool. We went to what was that? Flannery's and had some.
Oh, that piercing we had, man! You're sending me back.
I know. We talked about that after you guys called that, and then you got me all hungry.
Yeah, the Reuben. You ate the Reuben. Oh man.
Oh,
it was so good. Their food is so good.
There's some good restaurants in Akron. I know what we're doing after this game.
I've been dreaming about going back to Melt so bad. I want the waffles, the chicken with waffles. Oh man, I want it so bad. But I mean, I'm going Notre Dame in this game. I think it's pretty obvious. They've had some good games. They lost to Duke. I mean, 57-43, close. But I mean, earlier in the season, yes, they did beat who was that game? I'm looking. What was that team we saw them beat?
Kentucky.
Was it Kentucky?
Yeah, you already said that.
Yeah, here it is. 66 to 62. That was December 11th. So yeah, that was the day. But I mean, they've had some close games. They beat Pitt. They beat Pitt by 1.
Anybody beats Pitt. They're god awful this year.
Yeah, they're horrible. Pitt has had some teams here and there though. But I'm going Notre Dame here. Alec, what are you doing there? What are you thinking?
I'm just warming up the tomahawk chop, man, for Florida State. The Seminoles, man. Yeah, man, Florida State's a whole lot of bad sports all around. That's why I'm taking Notre Dame today. Notre Dame projected 9 seed going into March Madness at the moment. They would potentially have a matchup against looks to be Marquette here. I think one would be a fun matchup as well. Notre Dame and Marquette. I think Notre Dame could pull that in the 8-9 game. I don't think that could be a chance, but I don't think Florida State's going to pull this off. They're not in the conversation for March. I don't know the last time FSU was good at basketball. I feel like it's been a while, though. I mean, they've had decent teams. I mean, don't get me wrong. They've been okay. I mean, they're not, down in the dumps like you've seen in some other places. But I definitely think they can afford to be a lot better. I mean, this was a team you go looking back a while ago, or I guess back in that 2019 season when we didn't get to March. They were actually 26-5 and would have been a 1 seed. It looks.
I think they had Patrick Williams on that team. I think.
Yeah, did they?
Which team?
I think Patrick Williams is on that team.
Oh yeah, I think so. But like, I don't know. They were pretty good. I guess they've been good this last decade, but I don't know. They're always good, and then they don't do anything. That's why I think you kind of forget about them. Well, you look at these last 10 years, and they're all 4 seeds or higher. But they're never down in the Final Four. It's just this team, I think the ACC is sometimes a little overrated.
Yep, I agree.
You kind of have to look at that a lot of times. And people put so much hype into Duke and UNC, and then the rest of the conference never lives up to that. And you get another team that actually plays good during it. And I think sometimes you kind of see them not really perform once you get to the NCAA tournament. I mean, they've had some Sweet 16 appearances, some Elite 8 appearances, but they haven't made it to the Final Four since 1972.
Man.
That's a long time. For me, Florida State, they have their days. They are few and far between, though, at this point.
Yeah.
I agree with you on Notre Dame. I'm picking them, too, because I think they have a lot more to play for in this game. I mean, Florida State can try to come in and try to spoil it, but Notre Dame's got a lot more. Matt, you said they're 21-8. They still got a chance, really good chance to get in the tournament with a couple games left. So I think it starts it for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're right about middle of the pack, too. So, I mean, a couple more wins could boost them up into the 7 or 8 spot, too, if they can find some nice wins here. And then, obviously, in the ACC championship tournament. I think these tournaments are going to be huge for some of these teams that are at the moment looking like they're going to get left off. I mean, if you get a team like Indiana or Rutgers right now, kind of on the outside looking in, if they can sneak into right at the end of their conference play and get a guaranteed spot with the Big Ten, postseason title, it opens the door for them to potentially make a nice run out of it.
Yeah, these last 2 games for Notre Dame should be easy. I mean, Florida State, a little bit of a challenge, but I mean, they got Pitt to close out the season. Pitt's they're just bad this year, so that should be a win for them. But
I mean, obviously,
pick up those wins
too, right behind Duke. And I mean, they're only a game and a half back right now from Duke. I don't think they'll get those games back. I don't think Duke's gonna take any slip ups here in the final stages. They got just UNC left this Saturday, so I think they've already sealed the deal in the tournament. Yeah, those tickets. I think I mentioned it yesterday. They're up over $1,000 for the cheapest ones.
Yeah.
Oh man,
They're going Super Bowl ticket prices.
Is it at Duke?
Yeah, and there's not that many seats there either. That's a small gym.
Yeah. Sweet. But all right, let's move out of college basketball. Let's go into the NBA. We'll pick a couple of games here. We'll start out with the New York Knicks taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Man, what a disappointment. What a disappointment the Knicks have been. They're a shell of the team they were last season. What the hell? Like, how do you go from being like a playoff team to this?
Easy.
Just like that.
Look at the Hawks.
Just like that.
Same thing.
The Hawks are the same.
It happens all the time.
The Knicks and the Hawks were those 2 teams last season that went on a huge run and then kind of fell right off.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's probably what will end up happening to Cleveland. Make a great run this year, great postseason. Yeah. And then next season, the hype will be too much and they'll flop.
That's what I'm worried about.
Then they'll get back to normal. I mean, it'll get back to being good again.
I
don't think the Knicks and the Hawks are going to be bad for the next 5 years. They all have a lot of talent on them, and they're bringing in more every season. I think this is just that year they had too much hype, and it came crashing down. I think they'll bounce back. Same with Atlanta. I think the same's going to happen to Cleveland after this year. They're going to get a little ahead of themselves, a young roster. Same with the Knicks, same with the Hawks, and they're going to get a little ahead of themselves and slip up next season. I think that's what's happening. If they're a decent team, still 25-36. I mean, it's still better than what Cleveland's been the last 5 years. So I think the Knicks are fine. I think they're just trying to find themselves again after last season.
They have a lot of
hype.
They have Quentin Grimes. I think he's a good young player. He's out. Nerlens Noel's out, and of course, always Derrick Rose is out. If he stayed healthy, the stuff he would, all the accolades he would have. Like, I know he won MVP in 2011, but that's like a decade ago. So, but I mean, how about the Sixers team, man?
Well, how about this also for the next year, real quick? Kemba Walker, it's been announced. This was announced last week that he's not playing. Him and the Knicks are agreed to sideline him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, which is.
I love that this guy thinks he's so good at this point that he can just take the rest of the season off, like he's Kyrie Irving or something.
Yeah.
Why don't they just get rid of him? Like, buy him out or something. Listen, he only had a 2-year deal.
He hasn't been good since he's been in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even that.
He got moved to Boston for what? Gordon Hayward? Is that what that trade was?
He was good in Charlotte. They just didn't have anything.
Yeah.
He was good in Charlotte. Yeah.
He was a couple years he was underrated. He could have been lower part of the MVP discussions.
I went to some Cavs Hornets games, and I've seen him. He's a good player, but I mean, he's getting older now, and it's just, injuries are there. But I mean, how about the Sixers team though? Since adding, James Harden, the pick and roll has been insane. I don't even know. This team looks kind of unstoppable. They're just the past 2 games they've beaten teams like they beat Milwaukee to 123-120, and then boom, 133-102 against Minnesota, and then they just beat the heck out of New York. Yeah, There was one.
He also mentioned, though, in that game against the Timberwolves, Tyrese Maxey has been finding himself recently. He put on 28 points. He had more than James Harden in that game. This Harden offense is opening things up for everybody else. And, I mean, 21 points for Maxey against the Knicks last time, too. Not to mention, they got some underrated players here. Tobias Harris and Matisse Thybulle, two young guys, are awesome. Paul Millsap is only getting 12 minutes a game. He was a guy a couple years ago on Denver as a straight-up baller. This is a very deep squad.
I remember when he was with Atlanta.
Green, an NBA champion for, what, 2 different teams already?
Yeah.
Toronto. I got the 76ers all the way in this one. He did it with the Raptors and the Lakers.
Yeah, Raptors and Lakers. More memorably with the Raptors. I mean, that was a heck of a team.
Who was an important part of that Lakers team, though, in the bubble?
Oh, yeah, he was. Danny Green.
Yeah, he had one with the Spurs, too.
Oh, so he's 3, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's one of the few guys with 3 different teams.
Yeah. But, I mean, this Sixers team, I'm going to see them in literally a week from today. I'll be seeing them playing the Nets. Man, that game's going to be sweet, too. But they're a heck of a team. It's going to be exciting to go watch them play. I mean, wow. So we'll see what happens. I'm taking the Sixers in this one too. It's probably going to be the same score, something close to it.
Yeah, but, I was kind of saying.
I don't think we picked different teams at all. I think we haven't.
We literally have not once.
Well, Matt, do a better job picking the games.
Yeah.
Well, these were the only games.
I'll give you
Matt. That's why I give you Monday and Wednesdays, because there's nothing on. I don't want to play some better.
I know.
I'll put this together if you want me to. I'll give you some better games here. Here's Miami, Milwaukee. Here's
We always pick Miami though, and Milwaukee.
It's hard.
We gotta pick good games though.
I mean, we're talking Cavs, Hornets next.
Knicks have 0 chance in this game. Alek was talking about 25-36. Yeah, whatever. They're having a down year, but they're just not a good team. Philly's way better than them. The only thing I question with Philly come playoff time is their depth, because they gave a lot to get James Harden, which you got to do to get a guy like him. But, Tyrese Maxey, like you said, this guy's scoring a lot for them, and he's having a great year. Last year he was good too, but he's actually turning himself into something. So, yeah, I got Philly all the way. I think it's his first home game too, James Harden, with Philly.
At first one he played in, because he was he rang the bell right after he got traded. Then he played the next one on the road.
Yeah, he had the hamstring issues.
Yeah. So let's move on here. Let's move on to our team here. The Cleveland Cavaliers were injury riddled, but I think we have the possibility of getting Darius Garland and LeVert back. It says March 2nd. So
yeah, Garland's questionable tonight.
So that's how we lost that last game. I mean, I like Goodwin. I think he's a good young player, but we need Darius or Karis. We need.
Well, the thing that hurts them, and I kept hearing it on the broadcast. It's you only had Goodwin who can handle the ball. He's like you said, Matt. He's not bad. He's a good backup. But all the turnovers they had. That's why they got down 23. I think it was. Yeah. Because they only had one ball handler.
They came all the way back too.
They had nobody else that could handle the ball on the perimeter, and they couldn't move it. They were from the top of the key to the foul line. They weren't getting any movement, or they were kind of stagnant. So, and you're missing 60 points with these guys that are out too. Around 60 points with Garland and Rondo and LeVert, and obviously Sexton's been out the whole year. So you're missing a lot.
Yeah. Do we add all those guys back on the team? It said the possibility of adding Sexton come playoff time. I don't want them to rush it, but I mean, if you get a bunch of those healthy guys, man, especially Rondo, playoff Rondo is a different player.
I don't think that's a thing anymore.
Yes, it is. When he was out with the Lakers, man, he was doing just fine.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. Last year, he didn't even play for the Clippers in the playoffs.
All right, well, 2 years ago, because they didn't make it last year. But I mean, he still got it. Maybe he can't go 48 minutes anymore, but he can do some flashes when he needs.
Well, nobody goes 48 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Uh-oh.
LeBron does. He still does, but there's a lot of players that play the whole game. But I mean, obviously we're picking the Cavs in this one, but I mean, I just wanted to pick this game to kind of talk about their injuries a little bit more and what they can do with the guys.
Yeah, man. So they announced the starting lineup for the Cavs tonight against the Hornets, and it looks like it's going to be the same one they had against Washington. So Brandon Goodwin, I love him. He's really talented. I like him.
Good.
I think he's a young gun ready for the Cavs at the point guard position, and they're going to be getting Tim Frazier some running time tonight. So the fact I'm mentioning guys that probably most casual viewers, kind of like myself this season, I haven't been watching too much, don't really know.
Tim Frazier is a journeyman. He went to Penn State. I know that. But,
he was with New Orleans, I think.
Yeah, he's played for a lot of teams, though.
I just love, we got Mobley, Markin, and Allen out there still.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to ball. Yeah. I just
And
you got to see Jetty Osman and Kevin Love get in there. I mean, they got to play big. For the Cavs, I think the most important thing is our bench. As much as we have some great starters and you depend on them to get their stuff, they're going to get that. The bench is the biggest question mark for me. Night in, night out. If the bench plays well, they win. If the bench is bad, they lose. It's as simple as that right now for Cleveland. With the injuries right now, the depth isn't there, and they're having to rely on guys that don't have to get relied on much. And to me, that's the biggest thing right now for Cleveland is finding some guys to depend on in the late parts of this season and making that run while some guys are out. LeVert's going to be out for 1 to 2 weeks right now with that injury, and Darius Garland's, I think, on the day-to-day. I think he is listed as out, though, for this one tonight.
Yeah.
Well, my response to that is, and again, it goes back to them being injured, because when you get these guys back, you're going to have Rondo, you're going to have Osman, you're going to have Love off the bench, either LeVert or Okoro off the bench. That's 4 right there.
Okoro has been stepping up every game. Man. Even in that Minnesota game, he was going off. I'm like, all right.
Last night's game was a great game out of pretty much everybody. Minnesota just had a better one. The defense had to improve out of that one for Cleveland.
Yeah.
They
had an off night on defense.
Had 3 guys scoring 20-plus points.
Yeah.
And Brandon Goodwin almost had 20 as well.
Yeah. I mean,
he can turn on the Jets. Man, he can turn on the Jets and just go to the hole.
I like that Goodwin. He seems to be a little bit similar to a Sexton type of player. Just Speed McQueen down the lane.
Motor.
Oh, yeah. But let's move out of the NBA here. We got about 9 minutes left, or 8 minutes left. Let's move into the NHL here. We got the Blues taking on the Rangers. This one's pretty close. St. Louis Blues 32-14-6, and the Rangers are right there at that same record, just about 33-15-5. I mean, I was trying to pick these tight games. This one is definitely going to be a tight game. Teams that are pretty much similar. I like this Blues team, and I've been talking about pretty much those top 4 teams from the Metropolitan, which the Rangers are in that right now. Chris Kreider, I mean, this guy, I know the Pens beat him the other day, but this dude was on every play, everything that they had to do. Like whenever they score, he had something to do with it. He was doing something on the ice, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's fun to watch this Rangers team play. But St. Louis. They're still a solid team right now. They're second in the Central.
Yeah.
Rangers are third in the Metro. So, playoffs are coming around soon. It's getting closer and closer. So, we only got, a couple months. It starts in May. So, literally a month almost. So, and we'll be in the playoffs. But
2 months, man.
This game.
You got March and April. So.
Yeah, March and April.
We got March and April.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, March and April. So, yeah, we're good. So,
it's been flying by. It's hard to keep track. It's already March.
Yeah. So,
guys, if baseball doesn't play, I don't know what we're talking about every day in this podcast.
We'll think of something.
College baseball. We'll have to get into it.
Think of something.
We will have college and NASCAR.
Yeah. Well, we got the NBA.
We got the
until
NBA.
June. So.
That'll run to June.
Hey, wait. We can talk about the USFL.
Hey, there we go. Good one.
There we go. That'd be good. But we'll see. We'll
wouldn't
think
be our
of things.
preference if baseball would get their crap together, but
Opening day right now, it's bad. So hopefully they can get it together. But we're not gonna waste time talking about it. But who are we picking here? I'm gonna go Rangers. I'm going Rangers.
I got Blues by a landslide tonight. I think 4-1 they win it.
Okay.
Yep, this is our first mix-up here. I'm going Blues as well.
Okay. But all right. Let's
that was
move on
good
to
to score too. That's a first.
4-1. We'll see here.
Write
It's
that down.
very tight.
My algorithm says the Blues are hot.
I just like the Blues better. Matt,
I like the Rangers.
In any division, they still have a chance to win their division, but they're behind Colorado and they're 14 points behind them.
Yeah, just whatever. But next game, I don't really care for the Avalanche. I just think they're overrated.
I got to tell you what's happening.
I know what's happening. Next game, though, Mike, here's your team. We got the Los Angeles Kings taking on the Dallas Stars.
Matt, see, you do this on purpose now. You do it on purpose.
No, I don't.
You guys intentionally. You guys say I was talking about basketball, but keep picking Miami. You every day you pick a Dallas team.
Huh?
every day you pick a Dallas team. I think you're doing
Matt
this.
loves Dallas, man. He's always picking
I
Dallas.
like Dallas.
You like it more than I do. You're always picking their games.
At this point, it seems like it.
But this game should be good. Listen, there's not a lot of NHL games on today, so I had to pick.
Yeah,
this
the other
game.
two crappy.
Oh God, yeah.
Nashville and Seattle and Buffalo and Toronto.
I don't want Buffalo. Oh man, that'd be horrible.
Matt, what game are we talking about here?
Kings versus Stars.
Oh, okay.
But Kings 29-18 and 7, and Stars are 29-20 and 3. Very close records. I like the Kings. They're a very tough and brutal team. I mean, coming out, they're what? Let me look.
Can we talk before you go? Talk about this one. The way this game impacts my algorithm that I've been using for hockey all season. The differential in goals for and goals against for the Stars is 0, and the one for the Kings is 6.
Oh,
who
you picking?
We haven't talked about any game that's that close with those numbers in a while.
Yeah,
we're talking the beginning of the
season.
We were talking about these numbers.
It's gonna be close, but the Kings are second. Yeah, I'm gonna go Kings too. They're second in the Pacific. Dallas is they're in that same division as Colorado and St. Louis.
They're 5th right now.
Yeah, they're 5th right now. But they're still a strong team. But I gotta go to Kings here.
Alek, you picked the Kings?
Yeah, I took the Kings in this one.
Yeah, I think the Pacific and the Metropolitan are probably one of the toughest divisions in hockey. So
you know what, Matt?
What?
I think I'm gonna accept what you say about me, and I'm just gonna keep rolling with Dallas teams.
Go ahead, then. Go ahead.
Just like with teams that you have, you say I'm just gonna keep going with them. I'm gonna do it.
Keep going with Dallas, then. All right.
You guys can make fun of me all you want. I'm doing it.
Matt's the only one that makes fun of you at this point.
Yeah, Alex, sorry, I'm not trying to include you in this.
Stop including me in Matt's shenanigans at this point. That's one thing. If you ever know Matt, you ever with Matt, don't get involved with his shenanigans. Not a good thing. It's not gonna work.
I'm sorry I drug you into that, Alek.
But you've gotten all of you gotten involved in my shenanigans.
Yeah, that's why we know better.
You include us
everybody
in them.
else.
Yeah, because you openly include us in them.
All right, that is true.
By the way, here, as you were talking about the USFL real quick, they're being sued by Fox Sports right now and USFL Enterprises because Fox was involved with the first U.S. Football League. So Fox is throwing together a lawsuit. The current USFL is saying they really don't have anything, so it probably won't go anywhere. But the former USFL is trying to make a case.
Oh, jeez. Already.
There goes that.
It's always these real quick. It's always these extra football leagues that always go on, and they try to compete with the NFL. There's the AAF. They last.
USL wasn't the USFL or the XFL was signing a deal with the NFL to kind of be their minor league. I
heard rumors about that or some stories.
I mean, back in the day, the USFL and wait a minute. No, I'm talking about I was thinking of the AFL. Never mind. But the USFL, I mean, a lot of great players started there and then moved on. I mean, Jim Kelly went from the Houston Gamblers and went and played for Buffalo, and then I think Herschel Walker was New Jersey Generals.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, you could see if this league keeps that. Yeah, but you could see a lot of players get second shots in the NFL, or young players that nobody's seen a shot in the NFL by playing in these leagues. So yeah. I think I'm all for it. So I mean, look what happened with the XFL. You got who's that one guy, Alek?
PJ Walker.
Panthers. Yeah, PJ Walker. So I mean, it happens. But that's gonna do it here for the Casual Sports Podcast on Wednesday edition. Well, Alek and I will be here tomorrow. Mike, we'll see you back here Friday. But wish us luck here tonight. We got 2 big games here on YSN Live. Tune in. Don't watch any of these pro sports. Come watch us. But we'll see you all tomorrow, everybody. Have a good day.
Stay tuned for Power Hour up next.
Oh, yeah. Stay tuned for that.